But nevertheless, what did you think before I go into this, Brian? Honestly and truthfully, what did you think about their choice of having Hangnail Page come out and speak in nothing but Spanish for the first 5 minutes of the program?
Two separate thoughts which may not exist together well. I thought that was really cool for the people there. And that's a really cool thing for Adam Page to appear at Arena Mexico and do a promo in perfect Spanish. Sounded great. On the other hand, for the viewers at home, they may be like, what am I watching? Is SAP on? I'm not sure what's happening, but it was a long promo in Spanish. I doubt it ran people off more than may not run them off as much as the average Adam Page promo. But, again, like I said before, this Dynamite felt more like AEW Live from Arena Mexico versus AEW Dynamite on the road in Mexico.
Well, and that's part of the problem is Tony is a mark for this type of stuff and wants to be so authentic that he will sacrifice the viewing experience of his goddamn television audience. And I'm actually impressed that Adam Page can speak Spanish. He took it in high school. I don't know how he speaks Spanish, but he speaks Spanish. But he came out and instead of, again, it's a wonderful babyface thing for the local crowd. And it's impressive for the American audience that this guy's bilingual. Many people would have suspected he was bi something, not lingual. So he's showing a talent. I'm not arguing with that. I'm arguing with the choice that they made not only for him to never speak any English, but that somebody had the brilliant idea, probably Sockface, because I'm sure in the production meeting, he piped, I speak Spanish. I know all the holes in Spanish too. So the idea was he was going to translate in between remarks what Adam Page was saying to the United States television audience. And that didn't work. For one reason, because Page never gave him a break to. Page apologized at the start for, that's what at least Sockface is telling us. If his Spanish wasn't good, so he didn't speak like quickly. He wasn't talking like Desi Arnaz. But at the same time, I'm saying he wasn't that good.
Segment one. What a great.
Well, I'm just saying, so he wasn't that good, but he wasn't making a statement and then pausing so that the interpretation could be given by Sockface. And Sockface is doing like a golf announcer underneath it. And he just told the people that he's saying that his dick is red and raw and it appears he's gotten an infection from whatever the fuck he's saying, right? You couldn't hear not only because Dick was golf announcing it, but because Paige, who had the PA mic, was then talking over it with the next statement. So it sounded like the San Antonio TV with the English and Spanish announcers standing side by side, except they were calling golf. And so that's I know it. Again, I can't speak Spanish, but I assume if you can, it wouldn't have been hard for him to say 2 or 3 things in Spanish and then kind of bring the English-speaking people up to date. Because even if the idiot Mark announcer had been able to translate it properly, it's not like you hear it coming from the babyface. And even though there were 10,000 people there in Arena Mexico, there was somewhere around, give or take, 600,000 watching him in the United States that are going, what the fuck? Are you ever going to tell us what you're saying? Because you won't let the other guy, and we can't understand him anyway. He's not that interesting when we know what he's saying. But when we don't know what he's saying, I was just waiting to see if he's going to fuck up any of the Spanish.
How would he do? Just yell pinga? What did you expect him to do? That he would fuck up the Spanish?
Well, I mean, if he fucked up and they started laughing at something or something, like he just said his mother had wings. I don't fucking know.
Well, and that's another thing. And again, we don't have too much data. In fact, the only data we have, and I've looked in various places, including the Recent Observer, including WrestleTix, which has nothing really right now, and everything else, WrestleNomics, the only information we have is what AEW has said, and they're saying it's about 14,000.
Okay, I wouldn't argue with that based on the look of it, because they had the entrance blocked off the end of the arena and everything else looked full. So
I think it's fair to assume it's somewhere between 10,000 and minimum, and that. I don't think that's unfair.
Yeah, so they're doing great business in Mexico, running that building 4 times this week, drawing crowds like that. I'm hopeful that the AEW crowd doesn't fucking come in and kill their business.
Well, my question, though, is more about the makeup of the crowd, because it was a crowd with a lot of heat, the way you would imagine a crowd in Arena Mexico was. We always hear that Arena Mexico has a good amount of tourists visiting Mexico City amongst the crowd. And also the crowd seemed pretty aware of a lot of the main things happening in AEW, and certainly the personalities, and you could tell by the chants. So, I mean, that's the other thing. Adam Page... I guess that's my question. Without knowing anything, I wonder what the makeup of the crowd was. Like, what? Well, how many people traveled for this? Did people travel there? Was there a good number?
I don't think they would have had a ton of tourists on a Wednesday night. I think that's a weekend thing, and the tourists wouldn't necessarily be up on AEW anyway. This was probably more of I don't know how the Mexican hardcore audience consumes their knowledge. Are they on the internet? Wrestling sites, down there? Is that the crowd that does that? Are they, in some way keeping up with wrestling? Is there a Mexican version of the really diehard internet AEW fan base in the United States? Is the question I'm making or asking. And I would imagine, that was a large part of the audience. Is they promoted it down there. The magazines. The magazines and newspapers down there are still big with wrestling, are they not? In terms of news, I haven't heard that they get TBS or TNT in Mexico, and one would think that would have been brought up in all this conversation.
Yeah, again, I don't know enough. That's why I'm asking the questions. I don't know.
Well, God damn it. I just asked some questions too.
And then I saw a picture. And again, correct me if I'm wrong, anyone out there who likes to correct me. I saw a picture that I believe was a ticket to this event that someone in the arena was holding up, and they took a picture of it. And it was like CMLL making fun of WWE and AAA, because whatever it was in Spanish, it translated to something along the lines of tradition cannot be sold. And in the whatever it said in Spanish, they made sure to have the letters WWE. And then what really stood out is AAA, AAA. When all of a sudden you see that in the middle of a word for no reason, like it was a little message, a little shot from one to the other.
Jesus. Well, they're prickly down there. But anyway,